the people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American.
Welcome back, Patriots, to another riveting episode of the Patriots Prayer Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Smith, and today we have an extraordinary episode lined up for you. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the ever-insightful Maurice, a.k.a. the Native Patriot. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Eric Clark, a J6er who has opened my eyes up quite a bit as to the goings-on of that day. Now, he has firsthand experiences from J6, but Eric's story goes beyond what we've all seen and heard. He raises serious questions about the possibility of some very crazy shenanigans within the J6 movement. This is not just a recounting of that day. It's an exploration of hidden truths and alternative theories that challenge the mainstream narrative. Prepare yourselves for an interview that is going to be as compelling as it's absolutely going to be controversial. Now, but before we dive into Eric's incredible story, we have some exciting news to share with you all about the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's more than just a podcast now. It's an entire network of podcasts. We're bringing you the best talent and perspectives from across the entire country. And we're proud to do it. It's taken years to get to this point, but we're thrilled to announce we have a new lineup that's going to be on the Patriots Prayer Network. That's Nate Cain, FBI whistleblower, testified against Hillary Clinton. His show is Raising Cain with the Patriots Prayer Network. Elena Barbera, who is the based mother. Alexandra Levine with Alexandra 360. Damon and Eric with Politically Badass Seth Eisenberg and Conservative Corner. And of course, Michaela Montgomery, who shared the stage with Trump on more than one occasion, visited Mar-a-Lago, represents Blagsic and Georgia, and fights tirelessly for our country. And of course, two guys, one coup, Dale and Jim, and they're going to be joining us today to introduce themselves to the world. And guys, we couldn't be prouder of the accomplishments and the strides that we have made to have formed what is going to be known from this point forward as the Patriots Prayer Network. Now, of course, don't forget Maurice, a.k.a. the Native Patriot, and myself, Eddie Smith. Now, together, we form that Patriots Prayer Network, a network dedicated to delivering the best headlines, breaking news, and perspectives from every angle. Guys, we do our best to make sure the truth is what matters always. And you're going to see that tonight. So without further ado, let's dive into this mind-blowing conversation. Welcome to the Patriots Prayer, my co-host, Maurice, and our newest podcast, Two Guys, One Coup, Dale and Jim. Welcome to the Patriots Prayer Network for the first time anywhere. Guys, welcome to the Patriots Prayer. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And I don't know if anyone caught the podcast earlier, but let's first start by guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are.
I'll start. My name's Dale. I was born and raised in Ohio, middle-class family, and have stayed that way. Hardworking middle class, involved in manufacturing my whole life. I'm married. I got 2 adult children. Briefly started this podcast a couple of years ago. And since then it's grown, and it's substantially grown. And thank God we found you guys, or you guys found us. Mm-hmm. Your hard work has put this all together, and it's an honor for us to be on the Patriots Prayer Podcast Network. I mean, it's absolutely an honor for us. But everything that's happening to all of us across the country and has directly affects us every single day. And we see the conservative voices that are silenced every day. We see the Patriots that are being incarcerated. We see everything that's going on in the cancel culture, and podcasts are really the only avenue where you can really speak your mind and get the truth out there consistently.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more difficult to censor everything because, I mean, I know that there's a lot of censorship going on, but I agree. It's one of the best ways that you can get all the information out.
Your mic's jumping in and out.
It is?
Yeah, your mic. Yeah, it just popped in and out a little bit.
So go ahead, Jim. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Well, my name is Jim, and I'm born and raised and currently live in Indiana. I am married and have 2 children as well. Funny and conservative all of my life. Grew up during the Reagan administration, obviously, which most of us have, and
not Maurice,
not these young guys. Yeah, not
I
these
can see that. But,
not Maurice. I was there.
So how we came across doing this show is whenever we get together, our families just have a ball seeing Dale and I together, and so our sons said, you guys need to put a podcast together. So we're thought,
like, what's that?
Let's give it a shot. so we did it, and we are who we are. I mean, that's who we are. You see us on the show. That's who we are. Out. We might be a little more outspoken outside of it sometimes, but that's just the way it is. But we're just 2 individuals that just believe that, what all can we do, right, to try to get conservative voices out there to stand up to the idiocy that is out there right now. And it's just something. It's the least we can do, right, to try and help right what is wrong in this country and move it in the right direction. And
I think we all have an obligation. We have an obligation.
Like Dale had said, I want to thank you guys, both of you, for letting us come on to this podcast network, because we see a lot of potential, and with what you guys have, with what you guys put out, and everyone else, we're looking forward to the relationship to continue forward.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's definitely an honor.
As do we, brother. You blessed us with your presence as well, so it goes both ways.
Thank you.
Because test your mic out, Maurice. How's your mic doing, bud?
Well, I hope it's doing a lot better. Okay, I think it may have been just too far away. I changed the gain a little bit as well, so hopefully fixed it. I think I was screwing with it last week sometime, but I just wanted to say thank you guys for joining. And one of the goals that Eddie and I have is to help basically create a network of patriots. Right. Like the thing that I've always said is a tribe of patriots. I want to get as many people who speak the truth and who are courageous and have conviction in what they believe and love in their heart for this country. I want to get as many patriots as I can and build them up as much as I can, because we're going to need it. Like you guys were saying earlier, we are definitely going to need as many people in this country as possible stepping up and doing whatever it is they can. You can do a podcast, do a podcast. If you can write out great letters, then write out great letters. If you can register voters, do that. Sign up to be a poll watcher. There's so many things that we can do.
Right.
And there's so many people and opportunities that we have that, this election, you don't get to sit this one out. The country's at stake. And it's time for action.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Very well
Maurice, did you have a chance to see their intro or any of the stuff that we put together for them?
I didn't get to because I was changing tires.
Check this out real quick. It's a little 30-second clip. Is their intro? We put it together a little earlier today.
Oh, boy.
Take a look.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of 2 average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
What a cool little intro.
Ta-da! We look just like the
little
cartoons, don't we?
That was a cool little intro right there, guys.
Yeah.
Listen,
Thank you, man.
I like the epic music as well.
Oh yeah, thank you. If I can plug a friend of ours, Mark Kramer,
No, you can't do that. No.
Yeah, he's the voiceover. He's the guy. That guy he's been in radio for over 30 years. He's a good friend to us.
From
and
Texas.
He volunteered to do the intro and the outro for us and all that and voiceover and guided us. He's really who started us in this podcast journey. And look where it's led. Stardom, pure stardom at this point now. So yeah, it's an honor, guys.
We got a long way to go, man, and I have no doubt we'll get there. So
I
guys,
don't either.
Let me back up here and tell a story because I'm going to bring up our guest, and I need to preface this a little bit, okay? So people understand. We were contacted, Maurice and I, 2 weeks ago, right? Guy named Jake Lang, seen his little documentary that was put out on his page. I knew nothing about him specifically, that he was locked up at the time, that he was there on J6. Roseanne Boylan supposedly died in his arms. So nothing that threw up any red flags to us as far as who he was, right? What he was about or anything. We did an interview with him. We thought the interview went well. He didn't say anything in that interview that would have made us question motives or who he was, that sort of thing. After the interview was over, we get a text message from him saying, guys, we'd like for you to be in our leadership group, whatever. I contacted Maurice immediately and I'm like, look, man, there's, all these other guys in there in this leadership group. Maybe it would, behoove us to join and maybe we're shoulder to shoulder with somebody. It's a networking opportunity, whatever. We didn't think anything of it. And then I'm always skeptical of Telegram, right? It's a platform that always throws up red flags when people want you to go to it.
Hate it. Yeah.
And some people swear by it. I've never had any good experiences. I get over there, click the link, takes you to another link where it wants you to join the prospective militia within your particular state, wherever you are. Nevada for me, Washington for Maurice, wherever. I didn't think nothing of that either because I would absolutely encourage everyone watching right now to go join your militias in your states. I think everyone should. So I didn't question it, but so we're in Detroit. We're down there. We're hobnobbing with all the influencers, looking at all these political figures, having a great time, still recovering. My feet still hurt. Like my fat ass was walking a lot longer than I've ever walked before in a while since Clinton was president.
Wow.
So it's been a while, dude, you know? So we get down there. I get a call out of the blue from a cell phone number. I answer. It's him. They directly calling me. Say, guys, we want to do. We're getting ready to go on a hunger strike. We'd like to do an interview with you guys. A video interview. I'm like, first of all, that's wild, right? How in the hell are you doing a video interview? I don't question it because I know
he's in prison, mind you.
Yeah, he's in prison. Yeah. Everybody realized that he's in prison, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. How many people get to do a J6 interview from someone who's in prison with a cell phone they snuck in? Hell yes. Why wouldn't I? Sure. The damn thing started going viral. We did the interview. Everyone's posting it. Collins Ruggs posting it, and all of our prospective, podcast mates and friends and everybody. It was up near, if you counted up all of the views, it was 200,000 to 100. So it's like damn near 500,000 people at that point had saw it by the time these guys contacted me. And I'm gonna bring Eric up right now. So give me just a second.
Before we do,
he's already up too late.
I was going to say we should break to our sponsors so we don't have to break through in like 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, so we should just do it before.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eric, hold that. We're going to get to our first conversation. I'm going to bring up our sponsors and we'll come back from that and we'll get to tell the other half of that story. Give me just a second. Here we go. Smoking Gun Coffee. Get yours today.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoking Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoking Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
So, guys, go to the website, the patriotsprayer.com. If you click the sponsors link, you're going to see all of our sponsors there. The discount codes are there for Smoking Gun Coffee. We are working with Smoking Gun Coffee right now to offer a coffee club to you guys. You know, the discount code is going to be Native Patriot, but instead of having to buy coffee, you know, every time you think of it, we're just going to have you guys be able to sign up and get coffee sent to your house, 4 bags per month on a consistent basis. You'll save money. You'll help out the show. You'll help them out. You'll help support veterans, the whole bit. So, guys, now I digress. First of all, I want to say that the Patriots Prayer is interested in truth, not clicks, not views, not clout, not any of that shit. I want to be 100% on the level with everyone who watches us and know that we care more about telling you guys the truth than we do about being popular, right? I called Maurice up when Eric reached out to me. It wasn't just Eric either. It was another good friend of the show. I won't say his name. And as well as another J6er, Tim Hale. And all these guys are telling me this guy's not who he seems to be. And I'm like, until I hear proof, I'm not willing to abandon somebody who's in prison. And God knows, you know, we're on the internet. People say a lot of things. I'm not just going to jump ship until I know for sure that these things are true. Enter Eric Clark. So I got a Scrappy Doo style puppy over here next to me. Get out of here.
I thought it was Jim's. His does the same thing. Yeah.
So sorry about that. Eric and I start talking. You know me, I'm always a humble guy, right? So I don't never want to get cross with anybody. If you disagree with me, we can talk about it.
Some would say the most humble guy that you'd ever meet. Very, very humble.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll take that. So I'm talking to Eric, and I tell him, like, look, man, I'm sure you believe what you're saying or somewhere along those lines. And I just wanted to hear what he had to say. Why would he be making a claim that this guy may be a Fed or compromised or any of these things, or paid for the Antifa members' legal funds? I mean, an extraordinary amount of things that just kind of made me sit and say, oh, what the hell did I do? Who did I put on? Who did I promote? What just happened here? Okay, you want to say something, and then I'm going to let him tell.
Yeah. I just kind of want to put it into perspective as well, is that we've reached a point where we have multiple people almost daily now hitting us up for various stories to talk about, and various people. So, I mean, there's no way to get through all of them, right? So this story to us appeared with the research that we were able to do in the very limited time we had. It seemed to be legit. So we kind of went with our gut, which isn't always perfect. You know, kind of sometimes you kind of just have to take a chance and go, okay, I believe this to be as true as I can verify it, which at the time was very, very little. So, you know, there's just so many stories that are coming at us, and I don't want to put that off as like an excuse. It's just that we're really starting to get the hang of how to navigate this mess, and we do appreciate when others are skeptical and are able to provide us evidence and reach out to us and be able to help us research, as opposed to it just being 100% on our side. So entering Eric down here.
Well,
Eric?
That's why I wear this on my wrist. It says iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. And that's what I believe Eric did. And when I heard him out, we kind of clicked when he said, well, I was and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but we said you said he's had a cell phone for 4 facilities, right?
Correct.
Wow.
4 facilities. So I said 1, right? Everyone knows I've never kept it a secret. I've been in some, I was a knucklehead growing up. I've been to prison. I've did my time. I've transferred facilities. I've been in max facilities. I've been in solitary seclusion, ADSEG. Hell, they even housed me on death row for a little bit. I was that guy for real. And God sat me down and did some things on my heart, but that's a different story. I know for a fact you cannot move facilities and keep a cell phone. They strip your ass naked.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even take books with you unless your name's engraved on them. There are tons of rules. So there's no way in hell you have a cell phone in the DC gulag, and then you have that same one when they move you to a Virginia facility, and so on and so on and so on. And operate with impunity to be able to use this cell phone whenever you want, charge it, be able to hide it. Your cells are searched, weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the facility that you're in. And I didn't realize that he had this for 4 facilities. So I said to Eric, still just wanted to make sure that I'm not being played. I said, Eric, I'm going to give you the last 4 digits of the cell phone number he called me from. If you can tell me the other digits, I will believe we're on the same page and that you're telling me the truth. And damn if he didn't. Damn if he didn't. So that's why we're here today. So Eric, please tell us in your words, what the hell's going on here, man?
All right, man. I think the best way to explain Jake Lang is probably to tell my January 6th story, but preface all of this with what is a confidential human source, right? So a confidential human source isn't a Fed. They're not an employee of the government. They're not some special forces operator recruited by the government. A confidential human source, 90% of the time, is a person who gets in trouble, right? So I knew this girl a while back, 15 or so years ago, when I was living life as a wicked addict, saved by the grace of God. And that's another story too, Eddie, but we have that in common as well. So I dated this girl, and before I started dating her, she had been charged with manufacturing methamphetamines. Her second charge for it, she was looking at 15 to 20 years in prison. 15 was the plea deal they were offering her, unless she was willing to work as a confidential human source. And what that meant is she was to give them $5,000 to pay for the 3 investigations they were about to conduct, that she was about to help them by buying Sudafed and helping the Louisville Metro Narcotics Department bust 3 meth cooks. Okay, so she does this. She goes to pharmacies. They give her all the food Sudafed she wants because she's got a note from a detective telling them, give me the Sudafed. And she takes it to the cooks, and they bust the first one. They bust the second one. The third bust, they make sure she's present in the lab when they come bust so that they can arrest her and charge her with a precursor to manufacturing methamphetamines and give her a 7-year sentence in prison. So that 7-year sentence was her reward for her cooperation. She still has to serve time, but she's serving 7 years instead of 15 on a reduced charge. That's what a confidential human source is. That is what I believe Jake Lang is. And I don't just believe it because of things other people say on Twitter, or because he's had this cell phone through 4 facilities, or because he's tried to take credit. Like when Ford Fisher's case went to the Supreme Court, he does this big fundraising thing. My case has got picked before the Supreme Court. I need your money to help fight this case. It's not even his case. Right. So while all this kind of stuff was going on in the background, I was just a defendant charged with 4 little misdemeanors, trying to gather every bit of the footage I could gather to prove my account. This was all staged. It was set up. It was political theater. It was mostly fake. All right. Not mostly peaceful, mostly fake. So I'm trying to gather the footage I can to prove this, and I'm posting it on Twitter, and J6 defendants are coming to me, and I've got this connection with Jake Lang and this fundraiser that has raised $2 million through a Telegram prayer group that he jumped into every Sunday, right? Every Sunday he was there, and he built a loyal little following, right, of good people that he's just kind of roped in with his rhetoric because he's well-spoken. He's well-spoken.
I can
So through this 2.5 years of working with him, I noticed so many things as a criminal in my past, as knowing how criminally minded people manipulate. They work on people's need and people's greed to sucker you in. Right. I noticed more and more of this pattern. So I started looking into his past while I was kind of working with him. And I found social media sites that he ran, one of social modeling management, where he would recruit girls to come in, and he would be their production part, their PR, to get them modeling jobs, sort of like an internet agency promoting their social medias. And that website quickly became porn, right? He turned these girls that come into the agency and then got them doing the porn. And he's got these vape companies that get constant complaints about, well, you sign up for this monthly subscription to this vape service, and you don't like it, it don't come, it's damaged, it's cheap, whatever. You go to cancel, you can't cancel. There's no way to cancel. He continues charging people. He's got arrested and was bragging about all the ecstasy he done, how he was a rave promoter, right? So all these things start adding up, not because he has a checkered past. I have a checkered past. 25 years as an addict, I have a checkered past. But because he promotes himself as having no criminal record. That's what he says, when that's not true. As a matter of fact, I found out one of the last straws was when he started screwing over people I sent him for help. Organic January 6th defendants, needing legal help, needing funds, and that's what he's done. He's been raising funds off the backs of the American people for that cause. And he leads them on till the last minute, and they're desperate, and then cuts the rope. No, never mind. We're not paying for the lawyer unless you take the one I tell you you're taking, so that my outside mediator can have complete control over your case. But then he turns around and he funds the lawyers for Ryan Samsel. Jake Lang's organization paid for this guy's lawyer. This is the guy who you saw the ear being whispered into, making that first breach of the fencing at 12:58 while Donald Trump was still speaking. That Ray Epps whispered in his ear. Yeah. So he's paid for this guy's lawyer. Zachary Alam, the guy that busts out the window right there, that Ashley Babbitt gave the nice southpaw to before she climbed through the window. Known Antifa, paid for his lawyer.
So, guys, just so you know, all three of those people, and I've said this on so many podcasts, so many, the three people standing around Ashley Babbitt as she was trying to climb through that window, the people who broke that window, who brought the helmets in, who brought all the fake MAGA gear, and they were all Antifa. Now, what was the man's name that went up to the police officers, threatened them to get them to move out of the way prior to the window being broken, prior to Ashley Babbitt climbing through? What was his name?
Zachary Alam. So this is a guy, he paid for the lawyer for it. Another interesting thing about Zachary Alam is when he was arrested in relation to January 6th. So when they came and arrested him over January 6th, they found him in a seedy motel in Pennsylvania with $6,000 worth of merchandise from Black's Angus Antique Mall. So I did a little research into Black's Angus Antique Mall, started pulling up their old social media pages, and it turns out a lot of people that associate with Antifa were employees or had family members or themselves had booths at this. It was a peddler's market, right? Like a flea market. You have a booth, you sell your things, right? And as a criminal, I know you don't typically go just rob $6,000 worth of merchandise from some random place. It's some place that you have some familiarity with. So he's hiding out in a motel with $6,000 worth of merchandise. And this is Jake Lang. This is the Antifa. This is confidential human source. And Jake himself was arrested in Lima, or 56 miles south of Lima, Ohio, on December 19th of 2020 for robbery, DUI, and he was choking out a childhood friend at the time of the arrest. So it's my speculation that is most likely when he became a confidential human source. And I say that not very lightheartedly. I grew to like this guy. I did. He suckered me in, and he kept me suckered in for a couple years. And then I started to see the pattern when I send people to him for help, and he just continues to screw them over. Right? When the outside mediator does the same, they make promises they have no intention on keeping to people. And it's all just a game to them, because So I sent you a tape of a guy named Landon Copeland that the Gateway Pundit did an interview of. Play that real quick, and then that'll sum up this part of what I want to say, and I'll just give you my account of January 6th, because it's going to tell something totally different than what the two competing narratives have to say. You know, the MAGA extremists started it all, or the police started it all, because that's not what I witnessed.
This is the one that you with the blue background off of the Rumble deal.
Yeah, with this the Gateway Pundit one. Yes.
All right, here's this. Here it is.
Were you familiar with other Antifa activists who were there?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I don't want to go into any names or anything like this because, and technically, because I've come out as Antifa, I can't even really socialize with those other members really anymore. Essentially, I'm announcing my retirement by saying that I'm an Antifa member because you get into some really risky things when you're like a professional political activist, and especially if you're going to events like Blacked Out and some of the violence that has happened at some of these events and stuff. Like I don't want to endanger their well-being.
Okay.
But yeah, there was meetings beforehand. There was text messages. There was Facebook messages. There was all kinds of stuff. But I was fortunate enough that the Facebook page that I had was taken down for hate speech or something like that before Uncle Sam really was able to delve into my Facebook page too much.
So tell me, do you think other Antifa operatives were arrested and charged that day?
Yes, we have. I know for sure we have over 100 members, and they're close members. They probably won't talk to you. They probably won't come out as Antifa members, but we do have over 100 Antifa members currently incarcerated because of this event.
That's a pretty large number. I know that the FBI's arrested. They're going on 1,000 people, so that's a pretty large percentage of those who are arrested.
So tell us the significance of that, Eric.
So what Landon just said was that 10% of the persons arrested and charged behind January 6th are members of Antifa, of a group that Antifa group that he started in 2006 or 2009. It's different in two interviews. The interviewer says 2006 in this one, but Landon says 2009 in an interview with Cowboy Logic, where he says the same thing. Right, that he's Antifa. He started an Antifa Facebook group in 2009. They've been going to protest since. That 250 of them went to January 6th. That 100 of them have been arrested as J6ers, and he is the only one yet to say this is what I am. Right, so there's still at that point in all this drama was about a year in. There were about 1,000 arrests. So if 10% of the January 6th defendants are in fact what he says are Antifa, what I say are confidential human sources, right? And the lawyers of every J6 defendant are encouraging you to keep your mouth shut and stay off of social media. A lot of them are doing just that. I've watched trials, right? I've noticed this also is a pattern. Most January 6th defendants had their social media wiped not long after, and they ain't bothered trying to get back on because their lawyers and family members told them stay off. Their feds are going to use that against you in court, and they're right, they do. I've had Telegram private messages come up in court hearings over January 6th. So if that's also the case, then we can safely assume that about 50% at least of the loudest voices about January 6th on social media fall into the category that Landon Copeland just described. And so that's the logic I've been operating on these past 3 years, 2.5 really since I saw that interview, but I kind of suspected it anyway. And you'll know why when you hear my own personal testimony, my eyewitness testimony to January 6th, what I saw with my own eyes.
I got a question for you just so we can get past that portion of your story. You say that Jake paid for the legal expenses of, what was his name? The Antifa guy?
Zachary Alam.
Oh, Zachary Alam. How can we verify? How can the folks watching verify that? How can we
So
know that?
they claim transparency. You can go to Jake's website and he shows you the people that he's paid for attorneys for, and they're listed right there.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right, that settles that. Okay.
And he did an interview with Behizzi where he praised known Antifa member Josiah Kenyon for giving him the baseball bat that he was using to beat on police officers' shields with. Police officers that at that time when Jake started beating on their shields were just standing there peaceful, holding them shields. They in that moment weren't spraying pepper spray. They weren't attacking anybody. They were standing there, and Jake walks up to them with a steel bat and starts beating on their shields. That's provocateur behavior, because that's what he was there to do, was incite people to violence.
Now you sent another. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Years on, as this story unfolds with January 6th, I've kind of seen it go back and forth between, Fedsurrection, and it was a setup, and well, it was actually, an attempted insurrection, but this is based on what I'm seeing in the news, right? And it's kind of becoming a little bit more clear, and kind of what we thought for the most part from the beginning, which was there were definitely provocateurs. And January 6th was a stage. And I mean, mob mentality is real. So if there were,
and there was definitely some of it.
Yes. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, there was actual rioting happening at that time. I know for a fact, it's not an insurrection. And it shouldn't have gone on this long. And there should have actually been a January 6th committee. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of felt for Jake Long and what he was pushing for is hey, an actual J6 committee. But it also kind of seems like that's far-fetched and not going to happen anytime soon. So it almost seems like an impossibility that, and like he's just doing it for attention, right? That's kind of what it feels like, because I don't know how in any way, shape, or form their hunger strike would bring on another J6 committee during the Biden regime. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It seemed more like he was just, I guess, just trying to get attention. And like Eddie said, we were propositioned, well, maybe not that. We were basically told that we could join his group. And I'm pretty stubborn on, hey, if I'm going to join a group, I want to be leading it, or I want to be in a leadership role in it. I'm not just going to join a group just to go join a group, right?
Right.
I want to be leading and taking the charge, because there's been so many people, and it's happening more and more, really, that have been reaching out to us, and it's just so hard to trust, and it's so hard to verify, because we don't have a team of researchers being able to sit back there and say, hey, like Joe Rogan has, how many people? He's got a ton of people to just be able to look it up, and they can do all their internet stuff and figure it all out. We don't have that. We have full-time jobs and wives and kids and family. And we're just American patriots trying to do the right thing. And so I'm hoping that this helps clear up a little bit of the J6 narrative. But I'm really interested in hearing your story, Eric. Yep. But I did kind of skip Eddie here.
No, I did want to. Eric sent me one of the most amazing clips for as far as being able to show you someone who was really there trying to make it appear that something was going on that wasn't, and you can tell by what she says. And I want you to pay very, very close attention to the rag she's holding in her hand, and then I'll let Jake tell you. I'll let Eric tell you the story. I'm going to play this clip real quick. Now, I want you to please pay close attention to there's an object inside of the towel that she's wiping her face with. See if you can tell me what it is. I know a lot of you have already played along with some of the trivia we've had in the past. And I told you, when you get the trivia right and you DM me before the answer's there, you get 10 points. You get 100 points, you get a shirt.
You got to make it harder for him, man. You just got to tell him, hey, there's something in this clip that's fishy. Like, it's right. It's in her right hand. At 14 seconds, you see it.
You got to tell me what it is.
Come on, man.
You got to tell me what it is, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Tell me what it
Okay.
is.
Especially somebody that's sitting there with 90 points.
Yeah, they know.
They get that 100.
Here it is. I'm going to play the clip.
You got me. And what happened? You were trying to go inside the Capitol?
I made it like a foot inside and they pushed me out and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Thank you.
The first one that DMs me what's in that towel before the end of the show without us telling you first.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get your points.
She seemed legit, didn't she?
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
Really? We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
It's a revolution.
Are you
So
kidding?
doesn't that really look like an impromptu, just in the moment little video there,
Oh,
like
yeah.
nothing staged about it, right? You know who's holding the camera?
Yeah,
God.
You know, you want to guess who's holding the camera? A guy by the name of Hunter Walker, who is the Yahoo News White House correspondent.
Okay.
Nothing.
It's just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
nothing more needs to be said on that one, I guess. That was kind of.
Wow.
All right, so tell us how you ran into this girl. And
Okay. So I went to our nation's capital on January 6th of 2021. I still firmly believe on God's call. Like I believe He wrote it on my heart to be there. I wasn't a political activist, and I'm never been to a Trump speech prior. So I went, right, and I tried to stay in a state of prayer and a place of peace the whole time I was there, because I felt like it was God who asked me to come. So I was kind of just like following Him in baptism, right? This is where you want me to walk. That's where I'm going to take my feet. And I wore a Guy Fawkes mask to show that I was there to represent more than myself, right? Sort of a statement of anonymity. So I go to the speech and I listened to it, and it's beautiful, right? It was a beautiful day. People were shoulder to shoulder, bumping into each other nonstop, and not a harsh word was said, right? It was just love. The spirit of love was in the air, and patriotism. It was beautiful. Beautiful day. It was a beautiful week. And then the president asked us to peacefully and patriotically march down to the nation's capital. I got that writing on my heart again, and I had recognized that writing, that God saying something to me through my path to recovery from 25 years addiction. It's a whole long story, but I knew it, right? Get to the front. So that's what I did. I sped walk all the way up to the front of the crowd. By the time we arrived at the nation's capital, the few guys that I had went with were kind of heavy set and tired. They plopped down on the corner of the reflecting pool, and I'm just like, well, I got to get to the front. I got to get to the very front. You know, it's what's on my heart. I got to do it. So I proceed through this crowd that is already there. No fencing, no barricades. People in a pack all the way up to the top of the Capitol steps, and I'm at the front of the march from the ellipse, directly at the end of the speech. So something had transpired already, and I recognize this. I walk through the crowd, and I'm looking down, and I see this chalky ball, and it's pouring smoke off of it. Right. So I'd spent a couple years before I was discharged for substance abuse in the Marine Corps in the 90s. And I was exposed to tear gases. That's not what this was. This was pure smoke, right? Pouring off this thing. And I hear some noises over to my left, and I look over and there's people throwing fireworks up. And I don't really think about it. And I walk up to the front of the steps and I yell out, "Hoorah." It's a Marine Corps thing, right? And a tall gentleman in all brown with a red MAGA hat on, he comes over to me and he bends down and he says, "Semper Fidelis, Devil Dog. We got to hold the crowd back a little bit longer or they're going to fuck up the plan." And then this guy proceeds to march back and forth between the police and the crowd. And every time he walks by, the police take a step back. The crowd sort of pushes back. People that push up too close, you know, he kind of takes control over. Calm down, get back. Well, by this time I'm chanting back the blue. He said, you know, we got to hold the crowd back, right? And it makes sense as someone who had been 3 years sober and had grown to love law enforcement for their consequences that led me to sobriety, right? I felt like I was on point, on par for a Trump rally, right? And I figured we were just waiting for Trump to get there to give another speech. So I'm chanting back to blue, back to blue. About 40 minutes or so pass. The moment arises when Matt Gaetz contests the electoral votes for Arizona. At that precise moment, the entire police line falls back and lets everybody through. Ray, this guy that was talking to me, I identified him a year later through some videos an Oath Keeper lawyer posted. He'd identified this guy as one Ray Epps. So it's the guy that told me, Semper Fidelis, Devil Dog, we got to hold the crowd back a little bit longer. They're going to fuck up the plan. The moment right before the police pulled back, he pulled another gentleman up out of the crowd, whispered something in his ear like he did Ryan Samsel's, and that guy grabs two other people. Ray beelines down the stairs to leave, and those three people go directly to this 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cinder block structure, and they pull off a green tarnished copper lid, right? And they start pulling stuff out of it, 2x4 ladder. And so I looked down, what is this? And what it was wet wall access to the building, right? It led to a hallway and a maintenance tunnel. It was, if you've done construction, you know what a wet wall is. It was wet wall access to the building. If you don't, Google it. And I sort of try to grab one of the 2x4s, but they're like, no, this person had a very specific place in mind for this 2x4 to go and wouldn't let nobody take it from him. So I proceed to walk up the steps to my left all the way up to the Senate wing, where I'm right outside the Senate wing entrance. The girl in that video clutches onto me. I've been pepper sprayed. Get me out of here. So I pick her up and carry her down to where my friends were at. And they start washing her eyes out. I asked, you want to go back up? You want to go back up? She's like, no. So I'm still on my heart to stay at the front. So I go back up. So in hindsight, this girl had separated me from the entire first breach of the building crew, the Ashley Babbitt, Zachary Alam, John Sullivan, Jacob Chansley with the horns. He'd separated me from all those people. She had effectively separated me from all those people with this damsel in distress role, because you've seen the video, so we'll keep the game going, though. But
no, they got it.
I carried her down to the reflecting pool.
They guessed it.
You already got it?
Yeah, they guessed
it.
They
Cool. It was onion, right? And I find that video like a year ago. Up until a year ago, I thought I'd help this girl, right? And then I see this video, and I'm like, that's her. It's the girl I found. And I try to research her more. And she's not even from Knoxville. She's from Maryland. But I got her cell phone number and all. She won't answer my phone calls or texts because, I wanted her in the courtroom. I wanted to show that she was either a confidential human source or somebody that I helped. Right. Either way, it plays to my best interest in court, but no luck. So anyway, I go on back up, and by this time the doors are all open. People are kind of just flowing in. I go in, kind of push, I'm going to that way anyway into the building. The crowd is just so massive and all going in that direction. Right. That's where you ended up. As soon as I went in the building, it was in the building, and realized this might not be the best idea. I turn around and try to get back out. But the crowd flowing in at this time, it's too thick. I'm not going back out that door. I could send you that footage too if you like, of that moment where I turn around and try to get out. But it's kind of, my trial's over, right? I'm not trying my case again here. I'm just telling you what happened. I turn back around, and the police, they're high-fiving people. They're taking selfies. One of them asked the protester, what do you guys want? And the guy says, well, we want to know what Donald Trump wants. He told us to walk down here. And the Capitol Police says, well, we're trying to get him on the radio. And then everybody starts chanting, we the people, we do not consent. They all sing Amazing Grace. And then it kind of like everybody just standing around. What do we do? Well, protesters, a couple of them in the crowd, start waving people deeper into the building. And one of the Capitol Police, I see he's waving people deeper into the building. I didn't know what was going on. I wanted to be in the area where I knew where the exit was. And so I turn around and go back, and I say, they're trying to shoo us deeper into the building. So one of the protesters that was trying to direct people deeper in starts yelling, this guy said a girl got shot. This guy said a girl got shot. Well, this was exactly 10 minutes after a girl did get shot in a whole different part of the building. Right. And he was right there in the part of the building I was in the whole time. So he had some knowledge that this was going to happen beforehand. So it's my belief.
Somebody got shot before it happened?
Before it happened?
He said it 10 minutes after it had happened, but he had been in this hallway the whole time. I was intentionally separated from that crowd that Ashley was in by Elizabeth of Knoxville, Elizabeth of Maryland in reality. My speculation is this was Ashley was a big mouth in the Q movement prior to January 6th, that she was probably targeted beforehand, right? That this was intentional, because you have other people there, like the guy I sent you in the clip, Damon Beckley, organized a anti-mask rally in Louisville that the Fed sent a bunch of BLM people to, right? They sent his invites to active members of BLM in Louisville, where Breonna Taylor was killed, and had them all show up at his Trump anti-mask, thing that he put together. But it didn't work in their interest, because the BLM people from Louisville and the Trump supporters end up hugging and agreeing on everything they're talking about. Because what a lot of people don't know about Louisville is they tried this same operation they did on January 6th in our city, and probably in your city and every city across the nation, with these confidential human sources. They sent them in on the ghost buses Clay Higgin talks about, and they unloaded these confidential human sources that they told you were Antifa, and they put them to work antagonizing the local drug addicts and youth. So churches that were organizing the Breonna Taylor protests in Louisville, right? Because her mother was like a church member, and her mother was big in organizing the protests. She didn't want them devolving into violence. 3 days in, a gentleman gets shot because he stupidly goes out and fires a firearm out into the crowd when his niece gets pepper sprayed. A guy named David McAtee gets shot by the National Guard 3 days after the death of George Floyd, when the riots are first kicking off. These church members, these locals in Louisville from BLM, they gather and they say, we want all these out-of-town groups out of here. We don't care if they got BLM, Antifa, what kind of name they got. They're not from Louisville. They're not welcome. So that kind of, it changed the attitude of the protesting after George Floyd's death in Louisville, because they weren't letting no more than buses in, right? This is not just something they did on January 6th. It's something they did all of 2020, and they got away with it for the most part. I'd say Louisville is one of the few cities where people realized what was going on and ejected them, because they continued to protest in that city for 100 days, but only looting and rioting for the first 3 days. The buses left, the problems left, because they want to divide all of us from everybody, right? They want to see civil war, unrest, hatred spread among us all, because really, we all get along more than we think. We have more in common than you think. We really do, right? A lot of if you don't let social media be your metric for the world, and you just go out and you talk to people, you find that they're not as crazy as the news tells you.
Yep. They can't.
So that sort of wraps up my account of January 6th. What I saw, I felt like I was an extra on a movie set. I think Laneda Patriot put it well when he says that's what it was, right? It seemed like a big movie. I felt like an extra when I walked that accidentally stepped onto a movie set on January 6th. And now I'm going to prison for 5 months for it.
Wow.
Completely peaceful. Didn't assault anybody, didn't break anything. Walked through open doors and had the guards in charge of those doors on the other side asking everybody what they wanted, not telling people to leave.
And can I ask a question real quick, if I can interject here? When you talk about open doors and all that, who opened those doors? How do those doors get open?
Well, that particular door was the first one opened. And that first group of people that went into that door, so congresspersons have new ones when they first go in. If you ask them, they'll say, navigating the Capitol building, it's like a maze. You'll get lost. It'll take you forever to get anywhere unless you got a good staffer to lead you around till you figure the place out. So it's like a maze of a building. But somehow those first people that entered the building were all at 7 different exits and entrances within the building within 15 minutes of their entry, opening those doors, and they just so happened to get to every door that had protesters waiting on the outside of those doors.
Wow.
That were led up to those doors to begin with. That one door was breached from the outside by protesters, crisis actors, feds, whatever they were, right? And people that were trying to entrap others. Then amongst them were people that knew the layout of the building and knew exactly what doors to go to and open, that they were gathering the crowds at from every direction and allowing the people to go up to. So when they were open, there's a crowd there of people just like, oh, well, the doors are open. They're letting us in. They even went so far as they had 3 huge flags that they were passing around at the ellipse. They used these flags. They all arrive at the Capitol, coincidentally, right at 2:45, just as all the doors are finally opened and the flow is just coming in. And then you march from the Trump speech at a slow pace, dancing to music, having a good time under this huge American flag. The flag is pulled back, and there you are standing 10 feet away from an open door at the Capitol building.
Wow.
That's how they entrap a lot of people.
You know what? That's actually a really good point that I've never thought about. Because one of the points when they talk about Trump, that he incited an insurrection, that I've heard for years, is that the Capitol was breached. The fences were breached before Trump was even done speaking. And now when he puts it like that, it makes sense that when the majority of the crowd is all done listening to Trump and they make their way over to Capitol, the doors are already open. And I mean, there was obviously some chaos, but a lot. I've heard so many accounts that like they showed up late, right after everything had already settled, or I mean, I guess it hadn't settled completely. You know, there was still chaos, but it wasn't the same level of breaching the doors, right? It wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same. Some people just walked in and stumbled through the building.
Yep.
But wow, I've never thought of that.
I got a cherry on top of that, though. If you remember when they showed that film of them breaching the Capitol, of those people going in prior to Trump finishing, if you look at the impeachment hoax trial that they did, they actually edited the timestamp on the video to make it look that the time was different, to make it look as though Trump was complicit. And Trump's lawyer caught them in open court editing the timestamp.
Yep.
Yeah, and that played a big deal because that's the way they presented it to the people at home too. They didn't start with the breaking news until around 1:20, 1:25, when the outer perimeters to the Capitol grounds were breached at 12:58, 19 minutes before Trump finished speaking.
Wow.
And finished speaking 2.2 miles away from the Capitol building, not like outside of the building, 2.2 miles away at the ellipse.
Yeah, that's good. Hey guys, we want to give a quick shout out to Truth Over Agenda for joining the tribe of Patriots, guys. We really appreciate that when you guys do that. You know, we love you guys for the support that you show.
We should start linking this shirt, or some of our shirts underneath each podcast. Just an idea. I mean, that way they can just access it in general. You know, but Jim, what do you think? How do you take in that story?
Well, we always when we talk about it on the show, because we have talked about it a lot. We never got the insight that we just received today, but it's one of the top 5 secure buildings in the country. All right, you're not getting in there unless somebody's going to let you in. That was always our take, right? Because they can lock that down. I mean, there's no question they can lock that down. And then we find out that they offered the National Guard. It was turned down. They were talk about, well, you needed to beef up the Capitol Police out there, and they didn't do that. And then they showed some videos that we saw through Tucker Carlson that the Capitol Police were standing off to the side watching it happen, and people telling them, this is your building, you're letting this happen. And it's just amazing how we hear all this stuff, and it always comes back to they just wanted to make MAGA people look like extremists. We were the bad people. We were the horrible people, and we're not.
We are. We're
just
terrible.
Want our freedom.
We're just the worst.
Well, we don't like liberals.
You see my sign? Does everyone see my sign?
Yeah, I saw that.
Doesn't play well with liberals.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Listen, the thing is, guys, I want to answer Denise's question real quick because
I want to shout her out because I know her personally as well. She's a great person, but
that's not what you told me.
Hi, Denise.
That's not what you told me.
Look, Eddie, somebody in your chat says it's interesting how they knew when to actually go in or let in. So 1 minute before them flags approach all the way up to the Capitol and unfurl, and a lot of people are just poof, we're right here by open doors. a flare went off. They fired flares off on all three sides of the building at 2:44. Right, like 1 minute before them, as them flags really were marching up through Capitol grounds to the Capitol building.
Well,
So
I have other friends that were there.
They had the timing pretty well and the signaling pretty well down.
So the story that I heard from firsthand accounts of somebody that I know that was there said that there were a contingency of police officers that had black uniforms on. They didn't have their names on their badges or any of that. Their faces were covered, and they would.
Oh, that's true too.
They came down toward the fence and they were throwing tear gas into the crowd and doing all this to rile people up, and then they would step back and they would come back and do it again. And each time the barricades kept getting pushed further and further in. So they were like swatting the beehive, trying to make some of this stuff happen, was the story that I was given. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you. But I do believe the source. I know this particular source.
And I'm sure that there was some of that, as well as some of what I saw, like fire extinguishers being passed off as gas, smoke pellets being passed off as gas. If you'll notice, there's very little mucus, if almost none, right? And if you've ever been in a gas chamber or exposed to chemical dispersants in the military at all, then you know the type of mucus that these chemical dispersants produce. And there's almost none. So it's like if they were using gas, it was a very weak form, and it was only intended to piss people off, not to actually disperse.
And for visual effect, I would imagine.
Yeah, and for visual effect, correct.
Well, they continued with that visual effect.
A lot of people, they didn't want too many people. There were close to 3 million people, they estimate, down at the Ellipse. That's what Chief Son said Capitol Police Intelligence had reported, an excess of 3 million people in town for it. But only a few hundred people to 1,000 do you see down at the Capitol, because a lot of people approach and they see the smoke and they see the the flashbangs or fireworks, and they're immediately like, this isn't what MAGA's about. And they turn around and leave, rightfully so, right? Because that's not what MAGA's about. It was a political theater.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even had Alex Jones with a speakerphone out there on that day saying, do not go in. This is basically saying this is a giant setup. And you can see exactly what happened to him since then.
Exactly.
They've gone after him in every single possible way that they can. I mean, how much does he owe? $1.5 trillion? Some insane amount.
$2 billion.
Insane amount.
$2 billion.
I was close. I was only.
I mean, what's billion, trillion?
What's $1 trillion between friends?
Yeah.
Listen, it didn't stop there. When they had the January 6th Unselect Committee get together, you know what they did? They hired a Hollywood producer, right? They hired a Hollywood producer. That producer's job was to go through those 60,000+ hours of footage and piece a video together to tell us a specific story.
Yep.
That story was used to elicit the emotion of many friends and people, probably that all of us have all around us. I can't tell you. One of the things that pisses me off a lot about that day, and when we post about it or we talk about it, you'll get some idiot that'll tell you something like Ashley Babbitt got what she deserved. And that's when I start, like, I really want to, okay, what's your real name? Yeah. Right? Because it pisses me off, because these were the same people that told you Jacob Blake didn't get what he deserved, that George Floyd didn't get, it was always an abuse of power, an overreach of power, until it's someone they don't like. Then it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Right? Michael Byrd didn't have anyone behind him that he was protecting. The building had been evacuated already. Right? There were two police officers to Ashley Babbitt's back, to her right. They were standing there because they were the ones that the Antifa guys approached and told either leave or move or we're going through you. Right? Then they started banging the window with the helmet. He didn't say stop, get back, or I'll shoot. He didn't do any of that. He stepped forward from around the corner, shot one time, boom, and this little girl, 100 pounds maybe, right? No weapon, no nothing. That she didn't deserve that.
Nope.
She did not deserve that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I was okay with her climbing through the window and she should have did that. And I had always maintained that there's maybe consequences for people's actions, but death was not one of those consequences that she should have had to face. And this guy, all the other Derek Chauvin's in prison, even though the coroner's report was made public in a different trial, which proves that he did not murder George Floyd. The coroner's report is black and white. It doesn't matter how I feel about the guy, whether I think he's an asshole, any of that. It doesn't matter. The coroner's report clears this man. But the day that his appeal got denied because of public opinion instead of the truth, a federal informant tried to kill him in prison the same day. Yep. It's bananas to me that people don't see the correlation between, the fact that guy, Michael Byrd, was given a promotion to captain while Derek Chauvin is in prison, most likely for the rest of his life, not because of a crime he committed, but because one portion of the government wants to appease people and care more about public opinion than they do the truth. Now, that's the reason why we're doing this show right now and why Eric is here, because I don't give a damn about public opinion as much as I do the truth. Right. I wanted to clear up the fact that I put something out there and I didn't realize that I had it wrong. And I wanted to write that, and I wanted to show people that, the Patriots prayer has some integrity.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's what we do as conservatives, though. That's what we do.
I also want to point out that even though I feel that way about it, the clip that I released with Jake Lang's message in it had nothing in it that I would disagree with as far as what he said in that clip. Yeah. Right. But I don't want to promote the person. Yep. This is why I contacted the other people who also posted that clip as well, to let them know. We all removed the clip. We all removed the clip because this is the type of people we are. We care more about the integrity. Guys, I want to take a quick break real quick and go to one of our sponsors. And we'll be right back after these messages. Thank you.
All right, so next up we have Julius here, and he's from his company Eco Inventions.
That's correct.
And he has the Eco Washer. Now, I see it says never buy laundry detergent again.
Right.
I think the laundry detergent people are going to be after this.
Yeah, they're probably not going to like you. What can my Eco Washer special edition model do? Everything. We eliminate all the toxic poisons in your home. No more detergent, no more fabric softeners, no more hot water. Sound too good to be true? It's not. Where did this technology come from? This technology literally came from the hospital industry. There's a super expensive commercial Oculus ozone laundry system used in hospitals worldwide. How did we create the Eco Washer SE? We simply miniaturized it using the advent of micro technology. These are like a solid state computer. No filters, no fillers, no ingredients, nothing. It runs the water through and transforms the water into an unlimited supply of nature's pure detergent and nature's pure cleaning supplies that will mop your floors, wash your carpet, take pesticide off of your fruits, veggies, fish, meats, and it'll make everything last much longer when you put it in the refrigerator. Hey, stop supporting these corporate chemical villains and step up and get your Eco Washer SE today. The new Eco Washer SE is a chemical-free laundry and cleaning solution. Imagine no more detergent, no more chemicals, saves you money, pays for itself, gives you a healthier life, and simplifies doing laundry. And now we're going to include 2 free Thunder Pure Safe Air Minis that purifies your home and sanitizes your surfaces like a thunderstorm in nature, eliminates all odors. Plus, you're receiving $100 off by using code podcast on the new Eco Washer SE. Let me remind you, 2 free Thunder Pure Safe Air Minis plus $100 off during this podcast. Podcast is your coupon code at.
So I got that, by the way, Guy Marty. But guys, listen, go to ecowasher.com, use code podcast. That thing is amazing. Mine's on the way right now. I promise you mine's on the way right now. And I know Maurice has got one coming. That is one of the coolest things ever. You hook it up underneath your sink. It spits out this water. You can mop your floors, clean your food with it, wash your clothes with it. throw all the Lysol, all the chemicals, all that stuff, throw it in the trash. You don't need it anymore. So we got nature's way of cleaning, the way that it was intended. It works. Restores your clothes, keeps your machine alive longer. So many benefits to having this thing. Not to mention one of which is you just don't have to spend money on any of the detergents anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, listen. I noticed that while we were on break, I want to say, is that Guy Morty? Guy Morty dropped in the chat in a Dropbox what looks to be all types of exhibits, capital maps, clips for AJ, documents and exhibits, everything there. Enough to do all the research necessary on, whatever. So guys, I really want to say thanks, Guy. I will actually be taking a look through the information that you put here. We appreciate you participating in sending this over.
I think that's Eric.
Oh, is that you, Eric?
Me. No, yeah, that's me.
I didn't know that was you. Dude.
Yeah, that's what I said, man. For the past 3 years, I've been hunting down every video I could find. They're all archived right there in that Dropbox. So anytime a defendant's lawyer enters like 3 or 4 clips that they want to present as evidence in trial, the prosecution would come up with some BS reason to challenge it and get it thrown out before trial even starts.
Mm-hmm.
So I just entered the entire 2,787 clips as my exhibit list so that they would have to go through and individually challenge every single clip, which would take them a few years, or just let it fly, right? And that's how I got the 4 key clips that I wanted to show in my trial in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do any good. I still got four guilties for 4 misdemeanors by a DC jury, but I got them in. I was able to enter into evidence police officers saying they let him in. I can't believe they let him in.
Mm-hmm.
Another body cam of a police officer saying, fuck it, like he's just quitting, right? Like, fuck this, fuck that. They set us up. They set us the fuck up. They told second shift to come in late. They set us up. That's what a Capitol police officer was saying. The clip of the girl with the onions and a clip of the guy tearing down the fence at 103, 105 while President Trump was still speaking. That fence that they say is why we should have known we were on restricted grounds, right? That was removed while Trump was still speaking. So in order to get those in, right, like it was a good thing I had that Dropbox. If you're a defendant and your lawyer's having that problem, hide your clips that you want in that Dropbox and enter the entire thing as your exhibit list.
Mm-hmm.
There's an exhibit list already made up in the Dropbox for you just to hand right to them.
Wow.
Let me get to some of these other clips because they're important and they're points of view.
The 3 William Keene ones I sent you, I think, are also key to proving my point that this was more confidential human sources than it was anything. So people in trouble for prior crimes cooperating with the government for leniency.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the other one, the Ashley. As I play them, just you speak to them. Here we go.
Notice how many officers are in.
Okay, so explain what's going on now.
So that's just more of, and I've got about a dozen clips like this if you go through that Dropbox. Different places throughout the building, fire extinguishers being sprayed and passed off as gas for optics for the fake news cameras. Now, there was gas deployed. I'm not saying that there wasn't. I'm saying that heavy fog and thick smoke you see pouring out of all the doors as people are coming out of them and officers are coming out of them, that's fire extinguishers, most of them. Right, especially at the exits of the building, they're all over the place, and that's why they were funneling everybody. Like we're coming in that one entrance I come in, they were funneling everybody down to the rotunda area, and that's where they then got everybody there nice and peaceful, and then started with the gas, with the real gases, with the fire extinguishers, with the batons, trying to incite the people that they had peacefully worked into this one area, trying to start a frenzy, trying to start a riot.
Well,
But for the most part, people did good. They reacted well and they left. Some people got out of hand, but the majority acted well.
I want to play this next clip you sent here.
Yeah, this is the William Keene. The next three are the William Keene.
Okay, I think, let's hope this is the one you're talking about. Here we go.
So can you take me through what happened and what you guys did inside?
Once inside, we made our way upstairs to where the chambers are. Christ, I don't do pictures, people. You guys know me. All right. We made our way upstairs to where the chambers were. We were outside the chambers doors trying to get in. They would not let us in. We couldn't get the police left. They moved out of our way. Let us get actually to the chamber doors. Could not get the doors open. Ended up going around another way over to where I believe it's the speakers hall or what? Yeah, okay. Outside of that, there's a set of glass doors. There were a couple police officers there. On the inside of those doors, it was barricaded from the inside with chairs and doors. Police officers would not let us pass. The police officers moved out of the way. Nothing happened between the people inside and the police officers. Okay? Everybody moved, let the police officers move out of the way. Once everybody had access to the door, a window was broken. A very, very young lady, probably early 20s, started climbing through the window, and as she had both feet in the windowsill, her hands were on the sides of the window, a man inside, not a uniform, he had a suit on, pulled a handgun, fired one shot, hitting her up in this region somewhere. She fell out of the window. The police that were there would not let me assist. I am trained in emergency medical services. They would not let me assist. That what they told me was, so are they, and they pushed me out of the way. And I stood there and I watched this young woman die.
So she was bleeding.
Yeah, she was bleeding. She laid down, she bled out. It was not a rubber bullet.
What did she look like? Who was it? Do you know?
It's murder. I don't know the name. I have it on video. I'm not going to share it with the press because I don't want it to get out before the family knows.
Do you think it was one of the federal agents or a cop or something?
Whoever wears it, absolutely, it was. I am assuming it was their internal security that they have. I don't know how their security here works. I'm assuming it wasn't Capitol Police, but it was probably some type of Secret Service or whoever guards this building.
But regular clothing,
he was wearing a suit.
So, tell us about who that guy is.
So this guy's name is William Keene. William Keene, he recorded the footage that you have that I sent you of the actual shooting of a whole SWAT team down at the bottom of the stairs. And interesting story about William. So I was on Facebook right after January 6th, and I would post a lot of stuff, and I got my account deleted, and I put one back up. Well, my last account I made in close to the end of 2021, I guess. I was posting all my January 6th footage on there, and a girl I had grown up with, right? Like I hadn't seen her physically since we were little kids, like playing tag and hide and seek, but we stayed in contact on Facebook. She starts reaching out to me in DMs. Eric, there's this guy, he wants to talk to you. He said he was at the Capitol on January 6th. He's seen all the footage you've been posting. He's seen me interacting with you, and so he showed up at my door, kind of just popped in. Right, asking for your phone number and if I could get a hold of you for him. He wants to know what to expect, right, from the FBI and being charged as a January 6th defendant. And then she goes on, she says, but Eric, I've been sober for 3 years and I wouldn't call this guy a friend. He's just an acquaintance, somebody I knew from my addiction. She said, I've heard from old friends that still hang around with this guy, that he was recently arrested and charged for him and his girlfriend were having sex with his daughter, his not minor daughter, but still young, right? 18, 19, but his daughter, him and his girlfriend, and got her pregnant, and he had lost custody of his kids and was in real legal trouble, but now he doesn't seem to be in any kind of legal trouble whatsoever, right? And he's wanting your phone number. I just figure you should be aware before, you say you want him to have it. And I was like, you know what? Give it to him. give it to him because I had seen the footage of the Ashley Babbitt shooting that he had. He tried to sell it to a local news station for $30,000 right after he got home. Even though he just said in that clip, I'm not giving it to the press. He went straight back to Louisville.
There was no confrontation between the police and those boys. And those
Right,
Antifa
and he
guys
also
walked
said
right
he
up
was trying to do medical help. But you'll notice in the video I sent you, that's him recording. Where does he say I'm a medical expert or try to help at all? Right, you've seen the video probably already. Then none of what he just said is true. And, well, most of what he just said isn't true, right? So I say, have him call me because I had seen pieces of the rest of his footage and he edited out huge blank spots. He had his camera running for 5 hours, but I could only get 30 minutes of his footage and I wanted all of it, right? I've been trying to archive as much of the footage as possible to find out what really happened. So I figured he's going to try to play me into saying something incriminating because he's working as a confidential human source. But I didn't do anything wrong, so he can't get me to say anything incriminating. And I know what he's up to. So, yeah, give him my number. So I talked to him about 4 times. And in the 4th phone call, I tell him, look, Bill, I know who you are. I know about your past and what you're accused of. I know why you got custody of your kids back, because you're cooperating with the fucking feds. I said, why don't you just do the right thing for one time in your life and give me your full, unedited, unredacted footage. Every minute of the 5 hours you were recording. And what he says is, Eric, I just don't want to lose custody of my kids, Eric, and hangs up on me. And that's the last phone call I had with William King. So you're going to notice he is in another video I sent you as well in 2020 that another January 6th defendant is also in.
So here's the I'll play that one next. I want to play the Ashley Babbitt footage real quick. I'm gonna just warn you ahead of time. This is point of view that no one's ever seen, and it's a little more graphic than the other footage that we've seen of.
And William King has still not been charged. He's still not been charged in relation to January 6th, and this is the footage he took. You're about to see it.
Yeah.
Do you want to play it on the podcast? Or do you want to link it afterwards? If it's that
it's
graphic,
it's not gory graphic, but it is Ashley losing her life, right?
And it's not one of the good angles where you actually see. You know
are we streaming? Are we streaming on YouTube?
Yes, we are.
Because we will get banned.
All right.
With footage like this, it would be best to link it under the, we can post it or post a link to it, but
I absolutely tell you what, yes, I'll put it on the X feed, but just to speak to it, and we've seen it. It's a shot from the stairwell as you walk up the stairwell, and you see Ashley actually stand up. I can show you up into a certain point of it safely.
Yeah, there you go.
Here you go. Watch.
Good job, guys! Go! Bust it down!
All right, and that's kind of where I'm going to cut it off because that's when she climbs up into the window and Michael Bird takes a shot and you see her fall back. But it's a perspective of that day that I had never seen. And I think the Epic Times probably did the best expose of what took place in that stairwell out of anybody. But that is a point of view and that's a perspective that I hadn't seen to date. And he's right. The guy literally, that's the guy that's recording. You see how far back down the stair he is. First of all, he's nowhere near her. Like right away, there's 1 million people between him and her.
Yep.
And he doesn't run over with the phone, or he stays exactly where he is, which looks to me about 10 or so more feet away, or maybe more even. And he's in the stairwell. So yeah,
after she gets shot, he does nothing. He doesn't say anything. Yeah,
nothing.
After all that.
And there's another piece of footage in that Dropbox. I just couldn't find it on, in 24 hours. It's almost 3,000 videos in there. When he first exits the Capitol building, the first words out of his mouth was, "Oh my God, that was the most effing fun I've ever had in my life." And he just witnessed a girl being shot.
Yep. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
What a scumbag.
So guys, I know you're on the East Coast. Are you guys cool to hang out for the next few minutes? Or you guys?
No, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a kind of got a hard stop in a few here for me. So, but I don't want to ruin anything for you.
Let us know if you have to go.
Okay.
So, but and then you got this other clip, and this is we looked at it briefly, which is the Mitch McConnell's house, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this is 2020 Summer of Love. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi's house is vandalized on the same day. A local Louisvillian had set up an anti-mask protest, and a bunch of BLM members somehow got invites. And this gentleman, William King, that we just watched, lo and behold, is there videotaping it all.
Two different groups showed up for the same reason here at Mitch McConnell's home in the Highlands to protest against the job he's been doing in Washington, D.C. Damon Beckley with the group D.C. Under Siege has planned this protest for weeks. Beckley, who voted for McConnell, says he's been unhappy with the job he's been doing in Congress. Heated discussions took place, but the groups were peaceful towards one another. They agreed the recent stimulus bill that included $600 payments to those who qualified was not enough.
Why not 2,000? This man, he's a millionaire. He's a millionaire. We need 2,000.
I'm not happy with Mitch McConnell one bit, okay? I'm fired up at Mitch McConnell. That's why I organized this event. Mitch McConnell needs to stand up and stand for the Constitution.
LMPD says they are investigating into who vandalized McConnell's home. As of right now, there are no suspects. In the Highlands, I'm Shaquille Lord, WOKY.
Amazing. It's just amazing to me that people think they were owed that money anyway. But
yeah,
that's
a whole different thing.
Yeah, I know.
What I was trying to point out was it's Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi's home vandalized on the very same night, and this, what I know to be a confidential human source, they're videotaping the reaction of the feds pitting Trump supporters and BLM at the same protest, right? It's just, think about that for a few minutes without all the extra, what they're there for and what have you, right?
Yeah. I sure love the mask.
The chin diapers. Do we have many more clips, Eddie, or was that the last one?
That's the last of the clips right now. Yes.
Okay. Well, so before we close out the show, I kind of wanted to leave out with this point, because a lot of people are skeptical to believe that our intelligence agencies or their certain sections of the government would have or wouldn't organize something like January 6th. Like maybe they couldn't do it. Well, I was having a conversation with one of my followers recently. It was about Rosa Parks and all of the effort that went into making that story something. Right now, back then, this was to push a good agenda. It was for civil rights. This was something that wasn't organic. It didn't just happen naturally. Rosa Parks was basically chosen. They chose her bus route. They knew which bus she was going to attend. They had people on standby all around the country ready to report the news. This was a planned event. And it's really surprising to kind of hear that. And I kind of went down that entire rabbit hole after I'd had that conversation with him, because like almost everybody else in this country, I was raised to believe that she just wanted to sit after a long day's work. But then you start to realize that in order to have something work out like a Rosa Parks, something that is memorable in history, there has to be an insane amount of planning, meticulous planning, and detail-oriented things that have to take place in order for it to become a story that is written in history books and written in a certain way that is favorable and will last the test of time. And I believe that that's something that kind of happened on January 6th, is that they were planning this for quite some time. I'm not sure how long, But the more we learn about it, the more coincidences there are that keep popping up, even with all the information that was deleted or censored or just kept from us in general. It sure feels like this was something that they wanted to happen. And that there were a lot of patriots caught in the crossfire. And that there were a lot of people there that shouldn't have been. We were like Eric was saying, they were provocateurs or they were informants in a certain way, trying to get their record clear. That's what January 6th is starting to feel like to me, is that it was just orchestrated meticulously and almost beautifully, with the mainstream media on standby, ready to make it the worst day since 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, as said by Kamala Harris.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Is anybody watching?
It's the moon landing to me. It's
watching.
That's another show too, but it's the moon landing to me. Yeah.
Eddie, you're muted.
Yeah.
I think
Roger Stone had CNN show up to his house the day his house got raided prior to the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and for the troll over here, everybody, Pam Hempel, just point and laugh. Just point and laugh. What an idiot.
Really? I know.
Come on.
Yeah, Pam.
Hey,
all the evidence, everything.
Hey, we
she's
don't.
seen and heard, but yeah.
We don't need to talk to a lady like that, though. Oh, is that a dude?
Say that's a lady.
No, it's a lady.
I know,
Is it?
still
It's
not
a
a
lady.
lady.
Yeah.
Listen,
She was there at the Capitol, past the police, videotaping people before any of the barriers were breached,
Yeah.
telling people to just push them, high as fuck on pain pills, talking about I'm a sobriety counselor.
yeah.
I don't.
Bam, nobody attacked the Capitol. If this was a seditious act, it was the softest,
Oh, it was.
dumbest,
Mhm.
craziest sedition. Not one shot fired by anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody killed anyone else except for your side. I bet you used to fight the system, and now you are the system.
Yep.
No, she's a confidential human source. She was walking around with a video camera at the Almond Bundy Ranch, if you remember that case.
Oh no, she's
So-
actually part of this.
Yeah, she was there at January 6th as a confidential human source. Made one during the Ammon Bundy case.
Now
How
I
you
feel.
think we
Now,
got
now
all
I feel
acquitted? How you think so many people
Wow.
attached to that case are also attached to January 6th? Because she was following them around with a camera as well for the feds, just like she was on January 5th and 6th.
That's crazy. Well, now I feel important that we have confidential human sources.
Sources.
Showing up
Commenting.
in our
The
Yeah.
feds are interested in you.
Yeah.
God, I feel so important right now.
What
Welcome
what
to
did
the
we
list.
get ourselves into on this channel?
I
bring it
I
on.
think
It's
that,
worth it.
Bring it
I
on.
think that
Yep.
there's been many times where we've been able to avoid letting people in our inner circle that are questionable or are more than likely feds. And now it's just getting more and more difficult to sift through it. Like I said, I mean, I get almost 60 DMs a day now. So going through all that information and trying to figure out what's relevant, what's not, who's real and who's not is becoming
It's difficult.
incredibly difficult.
Yep.
So it is good. It was really, really good to talk to you, Eric. You guys,
Really interesting.
you guys, Jim and Dale, when exactly is the show for you guys? Is it once a week?
It's twice a week. So it'll be
Twice a week.
Mondays and Wednesdays, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you're hearing it. Right here
Morning
on
show.
this channel. So morning show. Yeah. The Morning Zoo. Yeah, that's right. That's us. Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, that's going to be great. I'm
every Monday
really
and
looking
Wednesday.
forward to it.
Oh my God, so are we. We're super pumped, and this was a great honor. And Eric, it was an absolute pleasure. I found a golf buddy in Eric too, so I mean we're not that far apart here. And
Yes, get him my phone number.
Oh, I'll make
I
sure I
got
get it
you.
from him, Eric.
I got you.
Look, I can play free
I'm
golf
trying to
whenever
get-
I want, but I don't
Only
really. I suck at golf, so I never take them up on it. But if I got
Hey.
somebody willing to teach me a little bit,
I'm
Hey,
your guy.
$60
Cut
tee
in.
times, it's a really nice course. Just gotta
It
watch
is.
out for the
Rito
baby.
Key. Yeah, I've been there, brother. I know.
I You're all in Florida, and one of you guys can't have a damn boat, and I can't come fishing. That's the crazy part. I can golf right here, right?
Maurice,
But ain't no damn,
we're not
there's no
originally
oceans
from
in the
Florida,
desert.
you know.
As
so
soon as
you gotta
dude,
love
I've been learning how to fish too. I've caught a couple reds, some cat. I've been learning how to surf fish. Yeah, because it's different saltwater than it is from back home in Kentucky. It's way different.
Is. It's not bass. You know, it's definitely different.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, we're going to go ahead and close this one up. I'm sure there's a million more things that we could talk about. There's a million more pieces of footage. Pam is trolling hard.
Yeah,
listen,
she got receipts, she said.
Yeah, she got receipts. I'm sure she just printed them. So, listen, we appreciate every one of you guys. McGroin Nation, you guys are awesome.
Yep.
Who was it? A truth over agenda. Guys, thank you for becoming a supporter. We really appreciate that, guys. Remember, we are crowd supported. Everything that me and Maurice do, like this trip we just took to Detroit, what an amazing time it was. You guys have we were pissed off because somebody snuck something in and they had to shut it down when we were supposed to be in, and we missed some things that we didn't want to miss. But overall, it was still an amazing time, right? An amazing time. We hung out with a ton of creators, 2, 3 in the morning at nighttime on the rooftop, looking and hanging out with all these guys you see all over YouTube and Rumble and everywhere. We're just sitting there I will take that with me for the rest of my life. That was the best time in the world. I got to hang out with Michaela and Bryson Gray and one of the guys who helped actually author and work on the First Step Act and Trump's campaign manager. I'm not going to say her name, but when I broke out the TikTok on the phone on the rooftop at 2 a.m, you should have saw her run. It was funny as hell. She didn't want to be on film. It was funny as hell. I was feeling myself. I had a few drinks. Like, hey guys, let's go on TikTok. Phew, scatter.
It's a good way to clear a room, Eddie. At 2 a.m. By the way, nobody there. I wasn't actually there, but I can imagine that at 2 a.m. in a bar that there wouldn't be a ton of sober people there. So I would imagine that as soon as Eddie busts out the camera, let's go on TikTok, they're all like, nope. See you later.
No, hey man, it was one of the best times I've ever had in my life. I can't wait to do it again. And guys, listen, they're going down to Florida, and we're going to have Alexandra, we're going to have Elena Barbara down there, and since you guys are there, we definitely probably want to talk to TP Action Committee about having you go over and represent the Patriots prayer as well in the event. So you guys can get the same exact thing that we did, but in Florida.
Yep.
So guys, listen.
Before we go, really quick, I would like to thank all the people who did purchase Smoking Gun Coffee, because that was literally our spending money. That was the money that we were able to eat food with, right? Because we're we run a pretty tight budget over here, so not only does it help out the veterans and everybody there, but we were able to actually go out and eat more than once a day. So it was really cool. So thank you guys.
We even rented a scooter.
Yeah.
My fat ass got tired of walking is what happened.
Yeah.
It was a great time. Thank you for coming on. I would love to have you back on, Eric, because we're gonna try to get a couple of other J6ers. We talked about who that is, so I don't want to say his name until I talk to him. And I'd love to have you guys on as a panel to share ideas and do it that way as well. So, guys, as usual, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us on, by the way.
Very much so, guys. Have a good one.
My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up on your gun, this is a man.